When Diablo 4 launched, it felt like a dream come true for fans of the franchise. The dark atmosphere, smooth combat, and finally the opportunity to visit Sanctuary in the open world format. The return to the roots, plenty of activities, new classes. I was ready to dive in, but in the end it led to disappointment. After multiple seasons, countless hours, and far too many disappointing updates, I've lost my excitement. Diablo 4 has a lot of potential to be great and engaging, but the developers keep failing to capture the feeling of what made the franchise so special. The core issues run mostly in the endgame and aggressive monetization. Unfortunately, Blizzard doesn't do much to change that, and they only keep enforcing this strategy, especially with the recent seasonal content. All that makes me wondering, why am I still playing this game? Well, let's break down why Diablo 4 in its current state just isn't worth my time anymore. In any RPG, the endgame is what keeps players invested long after the story completion. This applies to Path of Exile, Titan Quest, Volson, Last Epoch, or Diablo. All these games have something to offer to the players who want to spend more hours and push the character to the limit. Endgame is where the real challenge begins, where the game encourages player to move forward, discover something new, and reach new heights with meaningful rewards. Playing the endgame in D4 is a repetitive chore without an engaging progression. You are cycling through the same activities: pits, hell tides, infernal hordes, nightmare dungeons, world bosses, seasonal event, or Ubers. The problem isn't just repetition, it's that none of these systems evolve over time or offer meaningful variety. They don't scale in a way that feels rewarding or fun. Pits offer the same rewards no matter how high you go, except for the glyphs. Infernal hordes have only one arena with the same modifiers and bosses, no unique rewards either. The only reason people have to play this is for resources. Nightmare dungeons, they are mostly for general farming. Helltides have just one summonable boss, which now drops barely anything useful. D4 also has PvP areas, which are now long forgotten. There is no new content, no themes tied to this feature, no new rewards, nor any new PvP events. And I also had high hopes for Dark Citadel. It's basically a dungeon for up to 4 players, and not even a raid, which is divided to 3 wings and had a new hub zone. Pretty decent for a few runs, but it quickly becomes stale. I just wish we had more dungeons like this, and not for 4 players, but like 8 or even 12. The game can easily hold that number of players in one area, like it is now in world boss zones. What could have been a dynamic endgame loop becomes a checklist of tasks that quickly lose their appeal. Of course, nobody forces you to farm these activities, but without them you are basically stuck in one place. And the variety of these activities and what's happening there is extremely lacking. While Blizzard keeps adding new features and fixing bugs, the core of the endgame remains the same straight from the release. In D4, for many seasons, players have been waiting for basic features like teleport to player leaderboards or armory, which should have been available from day one. The development of Diablo 4 is surely going slow and with too little impact. There's barely any new content that could last for at least a week or two. Blizzard has a vast experience in game development, and much had already been done before, for example in Diablo 3, but for some reason the company lost its grip and started making games not for the players, but for the success managers and investors. Take a look for example at Overwatch 1.5. It might be hard to believe, but Diablo 3, despite its controversial launch, eventually became a fantastic RPG. Over time, Blizzard refined the systems, added grey reefs, introduced set dungeons, and most importantly, engaging seasonal themes. Second half, starting from season 14, as I remember, brought many unique modifiers or powerful buffs, encouraging players to experiment with builds and different classes, especially in 4-man GRs. Fourth cube slot, ethereal, soul shards, sanctified items, altar of rights, and more. And all this structure made sense. You had clear goals and a solid reason to come back and do something different. It wasn't perfect, but it was fun and refreshing. Now we have Diablo 4. Seasons are advertised as major events but offer little more than minor mechanic changes that barely affect the gameplay. For example, second season introduced vampiric powers, third season construct powers with dungeons, fourth season just some quality of life changes like updated health tides and crafting with tempering, fifth season one new arena called Infernal Hordes, sixth season annoying realm walker with one dungeon, seventh season witchcraft powers, and eighth season boss powers. As you can see, most seasonal mechanics feel surface level, rarely shaking up the meta or encouraging players to try something new. Moreover, most of these seasons are designed for a solo experience. There is no compelling reason to team up, no community-driven objectives, and no systems that reward cooperation. The progression and leveling has been artificially stretched, plus there is barely any new content, and I highly doubt that the upcoming seasons would change that. But what really bothers me is the monetization in this game. It is getting worse for the players, but not Blizzard. In earlier versions of Diablo 4, Battle Pass was a fair deal. You could earn a substantial amount back while playing the game and receiving all the rewards if you purchased premium. Everything was included: armor, emotes, titles, emblems, portals, and graves. Now I see only half of it. The formula has changed with the rare liquires and special tokens which don't accumulate after you reach the cap, and the amount of received platinum has been significantly reduced. The new system basically pushes players to spend more money just to keep progressing and playing for a reason. For those who don't want to pay, the rewards deplete fast. And on top of that, other optional cosmetics are class exclusive and price tags still remain high. For me, basically, once I run out of my platinum, it is over. I'm not willing to spend $10 or more every 2 to 3 months for the content that I don't enjoy doing. I would rather spend that amount on some VPS service, online courses, or any other game on discount. The way I see it, Diablo 4 is turning into an expensive live service game which prioritizes short-term profits over long-term player trust. Aside of questionable decisions regarding content and monetization, I can also address performance issues. For years, Diablo 4 is suffering from stutters, memory leaks, or frame drops even on high-end rigs. It is bearable, but there is always a risk to encounter lag, frame drops, or even freezes. Because of this, I will never play hardcore. To be honest, it is the only game that made me purchase more RAM, and sometimes it is still not enough. The game can easily climb past 16 gigs and cause crashes. Of course, I'm not talking about everyone, but it's not an individual problem. Even Path of Exile 2 seems better optimized in general, except for the CPU problem, which causes some computers to freeze entirely, and the developers themselves don't rush to fix this problem. For D4, every patch tends to fix one problem and accidentally cause another. There are many bugs and issues which remain undocumented for a long time, and even public test realms don't help much. Blizzard, at least I believe so, knows how to make video games, but polishing this game, working on feedback, and implementing new content are not in the priorities right now. On top of that, Diablo 4's in-game economy has been flooded with duped gold and items. Genuine players hardly can trade anything for an adequate price and must have to rely on third-party websites or Discord servers. Even several hotfixes later, the listings can go beyond millions of gold, and all prices across the board keep going up instead of denominating. The cost to repair and upgrade gear has also become a frustration. Enchanting a nearly perfect legendary requires millions of gold per row, and on top of that, the stats rarely proc to what you really need for the build. But overall, this masterwork in tempering, runes and enchanting definitely made a positive change. It just needs more balancing. More builds come into play thanks to this, like Death Trap Rogue, Lightning Spear Sorcerer, or let's say Bloodwave Necromancer. All of them feel unique, but if you don't like certain playstyle and rather prefer to make your own build, then expect to hit the wall on Torment 4. Usually creating your own build leads to poor results. It is like that even after you research your Paragon nodes and find desired aspects. And yes, this problem also exists in D3 because you can't just equip Blackthorn, for example, and blast high difficulty levels. But the scale is different here. We're talking about the levels of MMORPG. D4 should offer more variety in every aspect, but in the end you will usually see everyone playing one class-specific build. So, taken together duping, unhealthy economy, optimization and bugs, aggressive monetization, delayed support, and lack of content, it hurts to play Diablo 4 in its current state. Instead of solving issues, Blizzard is trying to cut corners and do minimal effort for a maximum profit. And they don't take risks anymore to introduce something really new. I'm not even sure if they listen and test the game before rolling new updates. The endgame doesn't inspire, the seasonal content doesn't evolve. The monetization is another nail in the coffin. Until the developers change the course, there is no reason to keep playing for now. Diablo 4 needs more than small updates and new skins. I will continue to follow the news and latest updates, and I still hope to get back into this game. But for now, it is time to focus on something else. And that is all I wanted to share here. Feel free to leave a comment below and hit a like button if you agree with me. Thank you for watching and listening. Have a nice day and stay safe.